everybody, I'm Suzanne. Thank you for joining me. In today's video, I'm going to share with you some fun resources that we're using in our homeschool that I thought you might be interested in. Some of them we're currently using now, some we hope to use in the future. But because they're so amazing, I thought you might like to see them and maybe something is there for you to use with your kids. There's going to be 3 sections to this video, so you can look for the timestamps below if one of the subjects interests you more than others. One is comics and drawing comics. The second is Black History Month. And the third is a study we're doing on the Beatles. Yes, the band, the Beatles. So I'm going to start off with the comics. And the first thing I'm going to share with you is a book from our public library that I just think is so cool. And this is The Drawing Lesson, a graphic novel that teaches you how to draw. And it tells a story throughout. This little guy has met a woman, an artist in the park. He convinces her to give him spontaneous art lessons. And so it's a little lesson as the story goes on. It's really told in like a storytelling form as he's learning throughout. I think it is really amazing. Now, if you want to do this with your kids, we started it and then get sidetracked with another one. But if you wanted to do this, this could definitely be something that could last a couple months if you wanted something to keep it simple and fun. Yeah, so I thought I would share that with you. Next is the book we've had on our shelf for quite a while, and this is one of the the Maker comics. So Who Can, You Can, Maker Comics, Draw a Comic. And this is by J.P. Covert. It's the ultimate do-it-yourself guide with 5 comic book activities, and we're a little ways into it. So this is the book we're currently working on. As you're going to see, there's about 3 different activities I have planned for doing and teaching Vivian, or I don't know if teaching is just encouraging her to enjoy the art of comic making. And thus far she is. This is the one I'm concentrating on that we do for a few minutes in the evening. And as you see, we're just a little ways into it now. But I love it because it's also told in a story format, but it's giving lessons throughout. So it's very colorful and cheerful. Yeah, so we're going to concentrate on this until it's finished. And it doesn't matter to me how long this takes. What I'm about to show you, if it takes a couple years, that's fine by me. But this is the one we're going to start with. And I'll show you the first page of her drawings from this because she said that was okay. She gave me permission. And this is the first. Isn't that cute? I did one too. She wanted me to do it with her, and her drawings are way better than mine. Next, I paired these, and we did one page, but then I decided to go back and start with the book, the do-it-yourself one that I just showed you. And this is one we had on our shelf, and we had one for Christmas that was from the library that I sent back, but these are really cool. Adventures in Cartooning, Let's Make Comics Together. So it's a scholastic book and it's activities throughout. Now you can do these right in the book if you wanted to, the activities. And I think she may do some of them in and some of them in her own artist book. Now what she did with the first one was I had this little create your comic book. So this is really just pages done up in really cool comic strips. So it's like that throughout. Different sizes, really encouraging different types of comics. But this is the first one that she did. I think these are so cute. And again, she said I could share those. Now, one of the things that she's been using, I have shown before, I purchased these from Book Outlet, and I've seen other people pick them up. I now wish I had picked up more because she absolutely loves them. And they're just so darn cute. They really are. And they're step by step. So if you are looking at these and wondering about them, I have to say my daughter loves them. And I love what she draws with them. They're just so adorable. And yeah, I think I'm going to pick up a couple more. The last thing I picked up for comics and drawing comics is from Thistle and Biscuit, and I'll insert a picture here. This is one of their new releases. It's I love their products. And I guess the dad in this magical duo spent a year creating this comic book and teaching your kids how to do comics. And I think it's wonderful. And I purchased it the very first day it came on sale. Now, I'm not printing it to show you because I know there's no way we're getting through the items I just shared with you. So I shared with you the order in which we're going to use them. So I'm not printing off Thistle and Biscuits until, yes, again, until after we move, because I know there's no way we're going to use it. So I'm just going to keep that. I'm really happy that I purchased it. I think it's amazing. The next set of resources I want to share with you are all for Black History Month. Now, if you've been around for a while, you know, we've done something for Black History Month the last couple years in our homeschool. And if you're interested, I will link those videos, or you can find them in the description below and have a look if you want even more resources. I mean, by the time you're seeing this, we're already in the first week of February. But I did want to share with you because I love what we're doing this year. So we've done something a little bit different every year. The first year, we really focused on a bunch of different things, a lot of books. So we did a lot of read alouds, like middle grade books, that sort of thing, the first year. Now, the second year, we focused on Harlem Renaissance. And this year, I wanted to focus on poetry. Now, we did do some poetry with our Harlem Renaissance study, but I really just wanted to keep it simple this year and focus on one thing. Now, I have added a couple other things, of course, into the pile for Black History Month, and I'll show you those first. So one of them is, because we are studying Canada right now for our geography/cultural studies, I did pick up this from the library, and it's the Kids Book of Black Canadian History. And yeah, so we'll read a couple pages of this, and I just thought they fit in nicely together. And I do love these books for our Canadian study. Anyway, this is the one we're going to do this month. Now, the other resource book that I wanted to share is A Child's Introduction to African American History. You know, I love these child introduction books. I think they're fantastic. This is the third year that we are going through parts of this book. So we started off at the very beginning a couple years ago, and then last year we really focused on the part that was about the Harlem Renaissance. So we will continue reading out of this year. I'm not sure if we'll finish it this year or not. It looks like we have, I would say, between a half to a quarter left of this book. Now, it's starting off where the flag is with the civil rights. The only reason I hesitate on this is it seems quite familiar. But now they're getting into the artists, achievement in sports, the civil rights era. So some of this Vivian is aware of. It'll be good to refresh it. Anyway, that's what we'll focus on in the civil rights era. And maybe we can tie some of that in terms of what we've already learned. That, you know, in terms of a timeline, that sort of thing. Okay, I really love this book. I highly recommend it. This is one of, yeah, the best purchases. Like I said, this is our third year in a row that we're using this. Now, another little book that we added, or I added, was Who is Oprah Winfrey? This is one of the Who HQ books. Not sure. Oh, I have a sticker. Oh, I missed a little section. We still have one chapter left. I thought we finished it, so I'm glad I did this video. Anyway, I do one of these every year as well. I think last year, okay, my memory's not that great. If you want to see, check out the video. But I know I have one of these for Maya Angelou, and I know I have Michelle and Barack Obama. So we definitely did those, if not last year, the year before. Anyway, this was the one I chose for this year. I wanted Vivian to know who Oprah was. And of course, we watched the clip of, you get a car. And now we all want a car. Anyway, it's just such a part of our vernacular today. And yeah, it's just such a part of everyday society. Like, people are always, you know, quoting that. I want her to know these pieces of history. And she is, of course, an amazing woman. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. I'm glad Vivian got to know her. And I have, a DVD set of Oprah's 20th, the best of her 20th seasons or something like that for her 20th anniversary. Vivian wants to watch a couple of those with me, so I'll definitely do that. That'll be fun. Okay, next I'm going to show you the books that we're going to read or that I have for our poetry section this month. And the reason that I say it like that is because sometimes I feel guilty. I show all these things. We're going to do all this, and then we run out of time. And I just want to preface this from now on and going forward with all my videos. These are all the amazing resources I want to share with you, and we may or may not get to them all. And that's okay with me, because if a resource is really good, I take note of it and I get it again next year. For example, the book that I showed you, A Child's Introduction to Black History, this is the 3rd year that we're doing that book. And if we don't finish it this year, I'll pull it out again next year and then we'll have finished it. So I have the same attitude with some of these resources. And I'll show you a couple books that we did start last year for our Harlem Renaissance study. That is poetry that we totally didn't get finished. And I can see why. So yeah, we get a little ways into this. And this is Women Poets of the Harlem Renaissance. And this is put together by Nikki Grimes. Oh, yeah. Different sections. This is really lovely. So, and thankfully we own this book. So, it's one of the good ones for our shelves. We'll read some this year, read some next year, and probably for many years thereafter. This is something that she'll definitely probably even get a totally different take on this when she's a teenager, just like I do as an adult. Another one of the same vein is One Last Word, also curated by Nikki Grimes. And this is Wisdom from the Harlem Renaissance. Yeah, and again, we're about a quarter, we're not even a quarter of the way through. So we'll read more of those this year, and then I'll move my little flag and we'll continue on next year. Okay, we read in the past Finding Langston, and this is about a little boy that was part of the migration. I think they moved to Chicago, if my memory serves me correctly. And it's about him finding his love of poetry and going to the library and finding his kind of his place through Langston Hughes' poetry. I think I'm going to... So it was a beautiful audiobook. I'm going to add it to our list this month and listen to that again with Vivian. And then pull out this book, Langston Hughes' Poetry. And we did look at this last year for Harlem Renaissance, but I'm not sure what she remembers, of course. And it will have even more relevance when we do a refresher of the book that's fiction of Finding Langston. Now, as soon as she saw Langston Hughes, the name, she absolutely remembered it because of that book, and she was interested in it more because of that fiction book, Finding Langston. But it was just such a good experience that I would like to read it again. It's one of those books I always wanted to have on my shelf once we read it, Finding Langston. I still haven't gotten around to it, but at some point I will. I could see myself reading that book over and over. It was just so beautiful in the end. I felt uplifted by it, and if you're a reader, I'm sure you'll appreciate it as well. Okay, another one from Nikki Grimes, Words with Wings. And she wrote all these, but I love the setup of this book. So this is what it says on the inside cover. Explain this, please. Mom names me for a creature with wings and wonders what makes my thoughts fly. Gabby has been a daydreamer for as long as she can remember, but when her parents began arguing, daydreaming became essential as breathing. At first an escape, it's now taken over her life. In her new home with only her mother, Gabby misses the way their family used to be. In her new school, she's always alone. The kids see her as a shy girl who lives inside her head and teases her. Her teacher keeps telling her to pay attention while her mother scolds her for drifting off. Will Gabby ever find a way to keep her thoughts grounded, or could her daydreams help her take flight? Beautiful premise. Beautiful premise. This one we haven't started yet, but it's part of the Poetry for Young People series, African American Poetry. Oh. I think what I'll do is I have been more active on Instagram than I used to be, probably because I'm not on here as often, and I've still feel the desire to share. And I'm going to post the books that we end up really loving, that we end up using the most. This is about Nova Scotia, and it actually comes with a CD as well. And now that we're moving, I'm really glad we have this actually. And it tells a story, and it's about how the city tells a story in drums. I really love it. And we also have Hip Hop Speaks to Children, a celebration of poetry with a beat, edited by Nikki Giovanni. And this too comes with a CD. I don't know why the library was giving this away. I think that's just so silly, but I'm grateful I found it in the bin. Now, we've listened to this a couple times and Vivian's loved it, but this definitely will age with her, and I'm excited to play some of them for her again this year. Okay, and the final one, because it was on our shelf, I thought I would add it in, and this is a Newbery honor recipient, and this is Freedom Over Me, 11 Slaves, Their Lives and Dreams Brought to Life by Ashley Byron. And because we're doing poetry, now we've read this before, but thought I would add it to the pile. Okay, those are all the books that we're going to be looking at for Black History Month. If there's something special that you're looking at or reading with your child this month, I'd love to know what it is. I'm always open to more books. And if I don't have time for it this year, I'll certainly look back at this video in the comments for next year. And I'm going to move on now to our next and final little study I'm going to share with you, and that's for the Beatles, the band The Beatles. I have 3 books I'm going to share with you now, and we did get a whole bunch of Beatles CDs from the library, so we've been having fun with that and playing with them. And I did end up having to order 2 books from Amazon. Wanted to. Anyway, I did look for the Beatles, the Who HQ book. I'll put a picture here from our library before I ordered it on Amazon, and it was there, and I was like, ooh, I don't have to buy it. And it didn't come, and I finally looked, and there's a trace on it, which means it's lost. So I did order it from Amazon, as well as this other little book. It just sounds like a lot of fun for kids. I thought Vivian might get into it. And then I have 2 picture books from the library, as well as a graphic novel. So the first is Fab Four Friends. And this is the boys who became the Beatles. And it really takes, a closer look at the 4 of them and their history. And this one we haven't read it, but it's going to be like a very quick read. But it was cute. The Beatles were fab, and they were funny. I love doing these kind of studies with Vivian, and music was a primary focus for us this year. So I thought this was a fun one to add in. Last year we did Dolly Parton was one that I did with Vivian. So yeah, I keep trying to do at least one a year, if not more, little mini studies with her. And so this is Lucy in the Sky, and I'm hoping this is okay for her age. I really have to look at this even a bit more, I think. And the only reason I say that is because the main character in here is in 7th grade, and she's feeling quite alone, like her friends have went on without her. Her grandmother, who was such a major positive influence in her life, I think she said she has cancer or she passed away. Maybe cancer. And yeah, I'm not sure. One of those. And her dad is busy, etc., etc. So she ends up finding, she's not feeling so great, but she ends up finding a box of her dad's that is full of Beatles music. So she falls in love with the Beatles and ends up starting a rock band, and obviously finding herself and having a good time. Anyway, I really look forward to reading this with Vivian. And I guess if it's too grown up for her, then I will have a read for myself. But I really, I'm really hoping. So if you've read this already with you and your kids, and if you think it's age appropriate, let me know. I think 7 is usually, depending on the theme, it's usually okay for a 4th grader. It's when they start getting into the, high school that I really don't even bother. Okay, those are all the resources I'm going to share with you this week. And if there's anything fun you're doing in your homeschool, definitely let me know. And I'll continue to share sporadically resources if I think there is something that you might be interested in and a lot of fun. I know right now we've done a deep dive into Egypt, and we had so many resources for Egypt. So, I just let that be okay. It's taking way longer than I had hoped, but Vivian's still loving it. And so I don't know if we'll share those resources maybe on Instagram, because I've seen so many videos about resources on Egypt. If there's something I really love, I might showcase it in an upcoming video in some way. I know that I just ordered, it was one of our purchases this month, and it is a DK book. Dr. Jean Menzies wrote this book on Egyptian mythology, and I really wanted the Greek one, but anyway, I would like to get that in the future. There's 3 different books, but Jean wrote 2 of these. And I follow her on YouTube. She's Jean's Thoughts, and I'll link her down below. And I love her videos on books. Anyways, this is her book, and I'm going to add in a couple weeks where we're going to just focus on the mythology part of it once we finish our deep dive into Egypt. So we will continue on with our curriculum for history at that point, but we will do that as part of our morning readings just for fun. So I ordered the book, and I also ordered from Audible the audio version, so we can look through the beautiful book, and the woman that's reading it just sounds lovely. And we did that with Percy Jackson when we read the first book we listened to it on audio, and we flipped through the illustrated version. Unfortunately, there's only the one. Anyway, we flipped through that on a daily basis while we listened to the audio, and it was a really great reading experience. So I plan on doing that as well with the Egyptian book. So I'll show that book for sure in an upcoming video because it's gorgeous. All right, that's really enough. Thank you. I'll see you with another video soon.